Hello everyone, in this video I want to showcase some of the differences between the melee combat in Risen 3 and Elex. What are the implications for having a stamina bar as opposed to how combat worked in Risen 3? The biggest factor and contributor to winning fights in Risen 3 was the Stagger Mechanic. It didn't matter if you'd stagger enemies with melee or magic, but if the enemy was susceptible to stagger and had no way of countering you, then you could completely lock down the said enemy. Some of the tougher enemies could recover and counterattack, but most of the easy ones could simply be overpowered by correctly timing your combo attacks and heavy attacks. And when you factor in how good parry was, where you could not only stop the enemy's attack, but then you staggered them, and then you could reapply your own stagger lock, it made the combat very easy. So once you'd learn all the elements of combat, which is combo attacking, heavy attacking, parrying and dodging, and even combining magic to emergency stagger, you could take on the majority of enemies in the game without much of a hassle. I enjoyed this aspect because your skill as a player directly influenced what sort of encounters you could win from the very start of the game. When combined with the fact that you could also obtain and equip a very strong weapon as soon as the tutorial was over, this has allowed me to easily clear islands one at a time instead of having to naturally come back later when you're stronger to fight the more difficult enemies. Now, one of the problems with how this worked is that the enemies could also stagger and lock you. If you didn't play correctly, or you didn't have enough experience with combat, or you lacked the skills like parry, you could also get stagger locked. There were times in my first playthrough that this happened to me because I didn't know how to counter it, or how to do it to them instead. Another problem that I had is that the enemies simply cheat and gap close on you like homing missiles when you put enough distance between them and you. You can parry it, you can dodge it, but it takes very good timing and a lot of practice. This is a simple cheat to counter the fact that there's no stamina in the game. You can attack non-stop and then you can run for a long period of time completely independently of each other. In Risen 2, you could simply win the game by simply dodging or sprinting and heavy attacking. That's all. And for this reason, I didn't enjoy combat as much in Risen 2. You can still do it in Risen 3, but if you go too far, then the enemies will missile lock you. Many times when playing Risen 3, I had no idea when it was my time to attack. The enemies come at you in chains of 3-4 attacks, then they could have a 2-3 second cooldown and then do it again. Or it could be completely at random and they could attack as soon as their previous chain was over. No way to know, no way to predict it. Okay, so how do you fix these issues? Well, you introduce the stamina system. You can't attack non-stop and you can't attack and sprint independently. They are connected. In Elex, you always have to make decisions in combat. You can't mindlessly just attack or just combo. From what I've experienced so far, no enemy can be fully staggered. You can stagger them, and you should press your advantage when they're staggered, but sometimes they can break out of that stagger and counterattack, which is when you have to pay attention and either dodge or parry. You're no longer just minding your own business and performing your combos, but you are looking at the enemy. Is he staggered? Does he have enough stamina to attack? Is he out of stamina and I can knock him off his feet? Is he not getting staggered? Maybe I should save some of my stamina so I can dodge. Maybe I shouldn't always just mindlessly use my combo attack. I have to watch to see what the enemy is doing. Is he vulnerable for an attack? I am making decisions during combat all the time. It's not as simple as just attacking correctly. You have to pay attention and react much more to the enemy than you did in Risen 3. Because this system gives the enemy the opportunity to counterattack more. To explain it differently, If you learn how to stagger lock enemies in Risen 3, then the combat has one round. You win in one round and that's it. Or the enemy can win in one round if you don't know what you're doing, because they can also stagger lock you. In Elex, the combat has as many rounds as your stamina bar regenerates. You can't win in one round. It takes many rounds and it can always go either way. Once you have exhausted your stamina, the round is over. When your stamina has regenerated, a new round begins. And this new round has nothing to do with the previous round. The field is reset and everybody has an equal chance to win or lose again. So you can't just snowball to victory every time. You can't just trivialize every encounter. You have to constantly be on your toes and win every round, which eventually would lead to you winning the fight. And the risk is there, because if you expand all your stamina, then you can't run away, you can't dodge, you're exposed. This way, the enemies don't need any cheating missiles, gap closing mechanics, because they'll usually be in your face due to your lack of stamina. That doesn't mean you can't get away. You can still choose to disengage from a fight, but now you can't fight and run without any issues. You can either use your stamina to fight or to run, just not both. When you draw the line at the end of the day, the melee combat principles from Risen 3 are still there, except that now it's even more engaging than it was before. You have to think and constantly work towards the victory. It's just not as simple as it was. I read that some people struggle with combos. This just takes practice. If you could combo in Risen 3, then you can also do it in Elex even easier, because the combo meter allows you to make mistakes. In Risen 3, if you messed up the timing on your attacks, then the combo would be over, and you'd attack very slowly. In Elex, every single time you attack, your combo progress gets stored, and it's not immediately lost, so you can use this progress from one round of stamina to the next round. In fact, you shouldn't always use the combo attack whenever it's available. You first have to create an opening, because even though it deals more damage, it also leaves you exposed. For those of you who don't know how this works, you have to time your attack to be as close to the white bar as possible. The closer it is to the white bar, the more progress you save. Eventually, when you store enough progress to push past the threshold, you can perform a combo attack. That also means it is not necessary for you to perfectly time your attacks every single round. You can mess up your timing in the first round of stamina, and when it regenerates in the second round, you can still continue your combo. You can still continue to build up your combo progress, right? Of course, you will lose a little bit of progress as the stamina regenerates, but it's not always fully lost. So it is more forgiving if you continue to press your attack. And again, you don't and you shouldn't use it as soon as it's available. You can carry this for as long as you need and only use it when you have a good opportunity. Looking back at Risen 3, I enjoyed the melee combat. I thought it was very fun, but I much more preferred to have this stamina system because it fixes the aforementioned problems. Paying attention to what the enemy does and reacting to that is the #1 priority in Elex. Your comboing and your attacks and whatever else you do is only secondary. Alright, that's it for this video. Maybe I'll change my mind about it once I've played Elex a couple of more times. But this is what I think at the moment as a new player. Now, if you think differently than I do and you like different things, I think that is wonderful. And it doesn't mean that you're wrong or that you should like the same things that I do. I am simply expressing how I perceive it and telling you what I personally like about it. I have about 20 hours in my first blind playthrough of Elex, and so far I do like it. I hope it keeps up like this until the end. I'm even excited for my next playthrough to try out different aspects. When I know more, I plan to make more videos about Elex, so watch out for those. This was El Video, have a wonderful day.